For 2025, both the Chevrolet Suburban
and Tahoe
have gotten a facelift refresh. Today, we're gonna go ahead and check them both out. In today's video, we're gonna be showing you around this 2025 Suburban RST, as well as this 2025 Chevrolet Tahoe LS with an MSRP right around $67,000. While the Suburban over here costs just under $77,000.
Hello everyone and welcome to Performance on Wheels. My name is Todd, my son Austin and I, we make all sorts of videos on all sorts of different cars. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you can join us on our journey. Today we're checking out the 12th generation Chevrolet Tahoe as well as Chevrolet Suburban. This is a refresh and it's really fun to see the two different trims that we have to share with you because you can see what some of those differences are for that different dollar amount. Before we get started on some of the details and our opinions as we go through both the Tahoe and Suburban, knowing that these are two very similar vehicles, at the end of the day we just have a difference in length and that's really about it. But let's just go back in time just for a second. 2021 is when we saw that significant redesign refresh. Some of those items that we saw both on the Tahoe as well as Suburban are a 4-inch longer wheelbase. We saw an independent suspension come to the rear end, which that dramatically changed things. Those two items allowed the floor to get lower in both the Suburban and Tahoe, opening up some more space. When I'm talking about space, I'm talking about length. 2025, the length of this Suburban is 226 inches long. Now, we're very fond of the Suburban. I actually have a 2001, which I still consider is the biggest, baddest Suburban. It's an 8.1 liter, two-wheel drive, 3/4 ton Suburban. Now back in 2001, the Suburban was 219 inches long. Again, this is 226 inches long. So we've grown quite a bit of length over time. You take the Tahoe into account, and the current day Tahoe is 211 inches long. Like back in the day, a Tahoe was 204 inches long around 2017. If you go way back in time, the Tahoe wasn't even 200 inches long. So you have a vehicle that's grown well over a foot in length with time.
And now a quick word
from today's sponsor.
This is the Highboy P6 electric mountain bike. Thanks to a powerful electric motor, hill climbs have never been easier. And with 60 miles of range, you can spend all day on the trails. Thanks to these fat tires, you can ride this thing year-round. This adjustable front fork with lockout is extremely fun to take out on the trails and makes it easy to do hill climbs. And for safety, the Highboy comes equipped with a light and a horn.
This is the Highboy Max Pro. Whether your commute takes you on-road or your adventure takes you off-road, the Max Pro has you covered. Thanks to the Max Pro's pneumatic tires and full suspension, it makes your adventure easy as can be. With a weight capacity of 265 pounds and a range of over 40 miles, you can rock your Max Pro all day long at speeds over 20 miles per hour.
I genuinely love this company's products and I highly recommend them. I've had so much fun taking these out on the local trails by my house on these beautiful fall days here in Minnesota. If you guys are interested in purchasing a Highboy, be sure to check out our link down in the description below for an additional 5% off of your purchase. With all that being said, today we're going to do an in-depth tour of the interior and exterior of both of these vehicles. And a big reason that this is important for you guys to watch is since the Tahoe has grown so much over time, and you think you need a Suburban because you've seen some older ones, today we're going to show you the interiors of both of these vehicles and maybe that price gap you might not have to pay because the Tahoe might be right up your alley in size.
In the 2025 model year redesign, let's talk about that first and then we'll kind of hit on some of the differences in the trims. But first, what is different? So the headlights previously were up on this upper bar. The headlights are now down here. This piece that is painted to match the body color is now much slimmer, where in the previous 24, 23, 22, and 21, that was a bigger chunk. Also, the bow tie holder, the bar that holds the bow tie across the whole front end here has got a lot bigger. Now let's look at the differences between the two models.
Now ultimately when you're swapping between Tahoe and Suburban, the front end is identical. However, we're talking about LS and RST here, so let's show off the RST on the front of the Suburban. Now look at how much sleeker that blacked out bow tie holder grill is. It looks so much better in black in my personal opinion over that chrome. Also notice just how much more, of course we're showing that LS in black over there. Now this gray really shows off that painted small piece that they have going through the center of the headlight. Looks really good, great design, super aggressive. Now one of the things I really like about the front of both the Tahoe and the Suburban is how all of this is actually functional. This is all functional cooling. These are all open grills up here. However, down here is completely cut off. This does nothing. But while we're on the topic of down below, we also have fog lights here on the RST, unlike the Tahoe over there.
Back on the rear end of the Suburban now, RST trim, that is. Like, we have some changes here for the redesign. The biggest one that people are going to notice are the taillights. Completely redesigned taillight. It's not like all new or everything. It's a facelift again. So we also have that facelift where that bar that connects the taillights is different. It actually connects them before, where it was just kind of a design in the middle. And one thing that also to point out, talking about trims here, is we have the quad exhaust. We have the 5.3 liter V8 in both of the models we're showing with you today. Again, one thing to talk about different for 2025 is that inline six diesel that is an option.
Now talking about the back of the LS variant here, we have black on black here. So that bar that's very pronounced on the other model definitely blends in a lot more here. So a different color definitely makes some of the dimensions pop when it comes to exterior design on both the Tahoe and Suburban. When we talk about the taillights, very similar design and ultimately the same taillight. However, on the inside of the taillight, the red variant of the taillight here is smoked over on the RST version. I think it looks really good. It looks super cool when you're driving behind it. Definitely gives kind of an aggressive, menacing look down the road. And I also like how on both of these models, the turn signal is like this small area down in the bottom here, and it kind of just swoops across. Really cool look. I like the way the turn signals look on these. And then the lower valance is the main difference between these two. The quad exhaust over on the Suburban. Go ahead and take a listen to what that sounded like. Versus the exhaust here in the Tahoe, take a listen to what this sounds like. Ultimately, you're just getting different tips. It apparently has like the slightest more snort. If you're buying this thinking that it's gonna sound better, I think you're gonna be disappointed. Just throw an actual aftermarket exhaust on it if that's something that you're going for.
One other thing to point out, just quick side view here, we have two different 22-inch wheel options on both the Tahoe and Suburban. One thing to point out on the RST as well as the high country trims is you have that 24-inch wheel as an option.
On the side of the LS Tahoe here, we have this nice looking chrome roof rail, this nice chrome line that runs across the side, and an additional chrome line runs in the bottom of the side step. Over black, I actually really like the way this looks. Of course, we'll see what differences it makes when we hop over to the RST, but on the black, I really like the way this chrome looks. Has a really nice looking body line, body design here. And if we compare this to the 21 and newer Tahoe and Suburban, looks pretty much the same on the side. It was mainly the front and back that changed anything. Really like these wheels for an LS model. I think those look great.
We have some significant changes to talk about on the inside in just a second, but staying true to the course here, you can obviously see that black accent along the roof rail, around the window trim, and everything stays black down on the running board. Looks really sharp. It's just, I don't think you can go wrong with either one of these trims, either one of these specs. They look really good. Just before we get to the inside, there's obviously some very big news to talk about. Let's talk about safety because there's some good things. 2025 standard safety features Chevy Safety Assist. So that's like the suite of safety features that include forward collision alerts, lane departure warning, lane keeping assist, and automatic emergency braking. We also have the adaptive cruise control that is standard on every single Chevy, Suburban, and Tahoe model. We also have the intersection automatic emergency braking, a new feature for 2025, the side bicycle alert, the rear pedestrian alert, the rear cross traffic braking, and also connected cameras, a high definition camera that goes around 360. Very cool safety stuff as standards in both models.
And just before we hop inside, I need to give a huge shout out to Apple Chevrolet Northfield here in Northfield, Minnesota for supplying both that 2025 Tahoe and this beautiful 2025 Suburban. If you guys are interested in purchasing either one of these vehicles, be sure to check out that link down in the description below. They ship nationwide.
As we hop inside let's start with the Suburban, then we'll move over to the Tahoe. The space is the big part. Notice we have a power lift gate. If we want to throw that down, we just have a button right there. When we get back here, we have all sorts of room. And I mean, look at me. I can almost my legs in here, we do have our buttons to lower our seats back here. Let's go check out that LS Tahoe really quick.
This is kind of mind-boggling to me, opening up the tailgate of the Tahoe. Notice how it's not going up by itself. That is because it does not have a power tailgate, which is crazy to me. And if I do the same thing my dad did and hop inside here, notice the dramatic trunk different space. This is the big differentiator for most families, like hockey families, ski families, on why they pick the Suburban over the Tahoe, is because of this rear trunk space. In the second row of the Tahoe, both models we're showing today have bench seats in the second row. If you pull this lever to move the seat forward and back, you can see that the passenger behind the driver as well as the center move together. You can easily use that button to move them forward as well as back. And then right behind that, you pull this button once and twice, and it flips right and up just like yours.
With the second row comfortable for a 6-foot-tall adult like myself, I can still get into the third row with ease with the directions Austin shared. I'm comfortable back here. Obviously, we have a slightly lower seat. I've got an armrest back here. It is hard plastic, but getting out is a breeze in the RST here because I have an electronic button to help me get out and this lever to take me the way home.
Getting into the third row, the seat process, the exact same over here on the LS.
Exact same room. I don't have an electronic button, obviously, in the LS trim, so I am forced to use the strap to get myself out, and I seem to be stuck at the moment. Here we go. We're out. Second row in the LS. Obviously, I will mention it probably one more time, but we have the cloth seats versus leather seats, and you can see all that adjustability that I have going back and forth if the person in the back needs a little more space. So there is some good leg room. We have this seat cranked way back on the passenger side, and you can see that my 6-foot-tall self has plenty of space. You will notice no heated seats, but we do have rear climate, 2 USB-Cs, and a little 110 outlet down there. Check that old girl out. Same room in the second row, both Suburban and Tahoe. Very familiar feel. If you didn't have a bunch of space back there, you'd think you're in the exact same vehicle. You will notice that really our only difference is we have some heated seats here. Other than that, we have our climate control. We have the 110 outlet. Check out the leather seats. It's fun to have that stitching there. Exact same center armrest. Door panels are a little different to accommodate that different trim. Other than that, let's get up front, check out what's new. Checking out the front, the inside, where all the magic happens up here. There are some huge changes when it comes to tech. Austin will kind of talk about that briefly, but I love the stitching here in the RST. With that new tech came some redesign of the center console. The climate control is a little different from the previous model year. Look at the different textures, kind of the different material that's used between the RST as well as the LS. Pick which one is right for you in that regard. I don't think either one looks bad. Pointing out some of the differences that stand out RST versus LS. We obviously have a wireless charger in the center console. We have some memory seats over on the driver door. Talking about the steering wheel, we have a heated steering wheel on the RST. We won't find that on the LS that we're looking at. Other than that, though, they're like a lot of things are very similar with all those standard safety features. Your command center over here on the left side of the steering wheel, you're going to see all the exact same buttons for your camera, your 4-wheel drive, your mode selector, your parking brake, your headlights. Obviously, we have fog lights on the RST, so you will see the button over there for that. Now, even though we are in a cheaper trim, it doesn't necessarily feel like it because there's no buttons anywhere that are really missing other than our heated steering wheel and this button that was also missing on the RST. It doesn't feel like this is some low cheap trim. Like everything's filled out, everything looks nice. There's this nice wood grain material that runs across the whole dashboard. Even though it's not the fancy red stitching, we do still have this nice like different color gray stitching all over the place. Now we do have some harder materials up on the dash, not as soft right in front of the passenger here, but ultimately everything is still soft touch. These cloth seats are very comfortable. I'm very pleased with them. It's a really nice spot to be. I think it's comfortable. I enjoy it. Ultimately, it's up to you. It's personal preference which one you like more. Let's talk about the tech in here for 1 second. Now, the biggest change when we're moving to the 2025 is these two screens. Of course, we are going away from that kind of analog looking gauge cluster to a full digital dash, as well as a much larger screen. And now it is powered by Google like a lot of other Chevy products, and this is an amazing system.
One of the big benefits about this system is it's powered by Google, meaning it's going to get over-the-air updates. All these updates are going to be coming in often. It's going to continuously get more apps on the market as more and more makes and models start using this Google system. It's super fast, it's super responsive, it's very easy to use, and a big plus here on the gas-powered Chevy models, unlike the electric, you get Android Auto and Apple CarPlay that is wireless. So it's super nice. It's a very big screen. It works flawlessly. You can get your maps up here all nice and big. You have multiple different selections for what you can put on your digital dash. You can really never get lost with two big maps just like that, but ultimately this is laid out really well. This is probably the best infotainment system on the market right now, in my personal opinion. And it's not just Chevy that's using it. Lincoln's using it. There's a few other manufacturers that are using it. It's going to slowly roll into more and more manufacturers because it's cheaper to have Google produce all the tech and then just integrate it than them making these systems like Chevy's Uconnect or MyConnect, whatever system that was before. It's not nearly as good as this Google system. So Chevy gets to spend less money worrying about developing a system, and it's better. Same thing with all these other manufacturers. If you were on the edge about buying a 2021 through 2024 Tahoe Suburban, I think this should officially be the icebreaker. That tech was such a big upgrade in both the Tahoe and Suburban, and it just made the interior feel so much roomier than the previous model, in my opinion. I don't know if it's like the flatter dash or exactly what they did, but that tech is such a big upgrade, and I'm a huge fan of that facelift in both the front and rear. I think this just looks even better going down the road. I don't have really anything negative to say about what Chevy did. I mean, they brought a diesel back, they're keeping V8s around, they have some sweet tech that they let Google take over. In their gas models, they still have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. I have nothing bad to say. I think these are great, great vehicles.
And that's why they remain so popular. Thank you for checking out the video today on Performance on Wheels. Again, show your support by hitting the like and subscribe button. We'll see you next time.